I've been trying to manifest a new Dragon Quest Builders game for years. Little did I know that the closest thing we're gonna get is a Pokemon spin-off, and I'm not gonna lie, it's looking pretty good. Now, I see so many comparisons online where the game is being called an Animal Crossing clone. Well, you're gonna be disappointed because the game is not just another Animal Crossing. Why am I so optimistic about this? Omega Force from Koei Tecmo, the same team behind Dragon Quest Builders 2, is working on this. They're also the team that you might recognize behind games like Pokemon Conquest, as well as Persona 5 Strikers, Hyrule Warriors, and more. So they have some solid games under their belt. Is that what you say, under their belt? And this alone tells me that the game is going to be in good hands. I was still a little bit worried because I was like, what if Game Freak is going to limit the team's creativity? And this leads me to the second reason why I'm even more excited now. The previews are out, and the verdict so far is that the game is incredible. Now, I haven't played it just yet, but you bet I have been doing my research so I can share with you everything that you need to know to decide if this might be a pre-order, wait for sale, or maybe even a skip for you. I will be making a before you buy for the game, as well as tips and tricks and streams, so make sure that you squish the like and subscribe buttons because I'm gonna tell you exactly how I feel about the game when it's out. Now, one preview in particular that interested me was the one from SkillUp, as he mentioned that he doesn't really enjoy Animal Crossing. In fact, Animal Crossing made him overwhelmed with its UI, he felt it was repetitive, and he just, in his words,
I just can't handle it.
Interestingly enough, with Pokopia's preview, at the 2-hour mark when it was time to part ways with the controller, he said, and again using his words,
"Could I play some more of this, please?"
And this is music to my ears. As much as I love Animal Crossing New Horizons and I think it added so much more to the series, I'm still a massive fan of New Leaf. I think New Leaf is better. This can be a topic for a whole another video, but still, I'm happy he said this because what intrigues me is that this is not Animal Crossing. Sure, it has some similar features, but the game is more reminiscent of Dragon Quest Builders 2, again, a game that I adore so much. And let me give you a bit of a background about the type of gamer I am. So I'm an RPG lover through and through. I love cozy games as well, but I use them more as a palate cleanser or a break from the chaos of the events that happen in the RPGs that I play. So when I hear SkillUp say, oh, I want to play more, this is like ding ding ding, this is really good news. Why? My favorite cozy and farming games hook me to the point that I forget about real life. And I know a lot of y'all can resonate with this. You're like, oh, I just want to play, you know, one more day, and you end up playing for 5 hours. And another point that I want to draw is that even though he only had 2 hours with Pokopia, when you play video games for a living, when you've played so many games in your lifetime, 2 hours is still a really good first impression for you to know, am I gonna vibe with this game or is it simply just not the one for me? With that said, the biggest question I had about Pokopia is, okay, is there gonna be enough things for me to do to keep it interesting? How is exploration going to be? As well as a player, am I gonna be rewarded? And how are they going to handle that? When SkillUp emphasizes that this is not an Animal Crossing game, this is a good thing for some and it's a bad thing for others. And this entirely depends on what kind of gameplay loop you enjoy. So even though elements like resource collecting, crafting, and town building are similar to Animal Crossing, the gameplay loop seems to extend beyond that, where there are innovative and seamless gameplay mechanics that fit into the Pokemon universe. So let's take a look at SkillUp's footage and keep in mind that you're gonna see a text above and it says that this footage is from a product that's in development and not final, so the actual gameplay experience may vary. This is a disclaimer that I myself have seen in many games that I've previewed on the channel. Developers usually use this so that they allow themselves some space in case they want to add some features, delete some stuff when the game is fully released. So this comes in handy, especially if they are open to player feedback during these previews. So in Pokopia, humans are nowhere to be found, and they were actually the ones who used to build things. This is very reminiscent of Dragon Quest Builders 2. If you've played it, you know that building is a forbidden thing, and here you come along, you start building various things that characters you've met along the way need, and with time, you're gonna end up with a big catalog of blueprints. In Pokopia, you play as a Ditto, which is a Pokemon that can transform into other objects and creatures. So this Ditto can also copy other Pokemon, which is gonna come in handy. But before that, you can customize your character, which is based off of the Ditto's memory summary of what their trainer looked like. We can see a few options here in the character customization. We've got face shapes, skin tone, hair, and clothes that you're wearing, including your hat, top, bottoms, bag, and shoes. And we also see this mirror here, meaning that we can change how we look like at any time. After that, you're gonna meet Tangrowth, who starts up the tutorials for you to learn the gameplay mechanics. And I'm very happy to hear that Nintendo Life says that the tutorial is pretty quick and straight to the point without it overstaying its welcome. I play a lot of farming and cozy games, and I know a lot of y'all also do, and you know, some of these tutorials can literally be here for 5 to 10 hours, and you're just like, can I just play, please? So this is really good news. In Nintendo Live's words, they said that the tutorial is guided, but you still get freedom. So the main gameplay objective is for you to unlock and collect Pokemon. And there's a very specific way that you need to follow to find them. So in Pokemon Trainer Mike's footage, we see these traces. These are like little sparkles that are showing up around different areas. And as you follow these traces, slash let's call them clues, you can resort back to your Pokédex to see what Pokemon is likely to live around said area. And then you can use that to your advantage to build the perfect habitat to summon a Pokemon who would usually like to live there. And this is not going to be instantaneous. Even though you figure out what you need to put down, you're going to have to leave for a bit, like just walk away, and then a Pokemon will appear by doing a little jiggle. And when you see that, you approach it, you're probably going to press the A button and a Pokemon is going to appear. We saw a few habitats and how they vary. For example, a Charmander, by the way, I never really grew up playing Pokemon, so a lot of these names are going to be butchered. I'm very sorry. He's going to need 6 tall grass next to each other to be found, whereas 6 flowers are the perfect habitat for a Pidgey. But hear this, also the way that you set up a layout can also end up being a habitat for different types of Pokemon. So if you look at SkillUp's video, we can see that depending on how the pink flowers are placed, a Pidgey will appear, or it can actually be a habitat for a Combee. You can also craft a variety of items to also help with creating the perfect habitat. So SkillUp shows that by creating a habitat with a bench and a punching bag, you're going to restore a exercise resting spot. Whereas when you look at Pokemon Trainer Mike's footage, you're gonna see that as he made this picnic area, it unlocked a dark chocolate cookies habitat. And I love how easy it is to know if a habitat was successfully made. You're gonna just see these sparkles come on the screen, and then you're gonna see this text that lets you know which habitat you've restored. And here's some extra information that we see Stealth 40k post on Twitter. In Pokemon Pokopia, clues will be given to find certain Pokemon. Examples include bringing candles to a grave, which attracts Litwick. A plate, a table, and food will attract Gulpin to appear. Director Takuto Edegawa says, "It is one of my favorite features. Putting any item or piece of furniture in the world, the Pokemon will somehow react to the furniture. This is very intentional, and I really like how it came out. Anything that the Pokemon does was carefully curated on the lore that already existed, to ensure we didn't break any of the past Pokemon canon." Art director Marina Ayano says that, "I've been working with Game Freak and Koei Tecmo on how Pokemon actually think. So for example, Alakazam has a little more cleverness, so they might think differently from other Pokemon, like a small Pokemon who may be very simple-minded. So I learned a lot from Game Freak about the Pokemon world they created. It's a team effort." I love the attention to detail that is being drawn here. Every single Pokemon is being handcrafted. They're going to resemble the lore that y'all probably know. I'm still very new with Pokemon, but it's really nice to see attention to detail like this. And imagine how everything is going to unfold when you have all of these different Pokemon interacting in your world. Actually, this is also something that I would love to learn about. If you know about this, do you know how many Pokemon we can have at once? I know that you can unlock 300 of them, but can we have them all at once, just roaming around freely? So now that you've added a Pokemon to your Pokédex, what do you do next? You can ask them to follow you if you want to, and you can use their powers to interact with the world and various objects that you create. For example, Charmander can light a campfire that you've built. Some of the Pokemon can also teach you abilities, so you can do things like smashing rocks, watering plants and crops, chopping wood, tilling soil, creating grass, and it all looks so quick to do in the footage we see. Even terraforming is a big part here, so you can create cliffs, waterfalls, pools, oceans, pathways, stairs, and more. Now, I was curious about what Pokemon trainer Mike showed, where you can see at the bottom left of the screen, you have this mini-map, and you can see that the color of the mini-map is mostly white and only the middle is uncovered. So it's safe to assume that the more we explore, the more that map will open up. Pokemon trainer Mike also shows us a closer look at the UI, so we can see that we have the Pokédex, which has 300 Pokemon that we can unlock. We also see a habitat dex, which can keep track of all the habitats that we've uncovered. There are also some tips and tricks, quests, and more. There's also a stamina bar. You can see it going down when you use an ability, but you can also restore it by making food. The Pokédex gives you a breakdown of the Pokemon itself, a short description about it, its weight, its height, and type. You'll also see where to find said Pokemon, along with the specific time and weather that you'll find it in. So there's gonna be some very specific conditions for you to trigger some pretty rare Pokemon. This will be important, especially if you want to unlock all of the Pokemon in the Pokédex. And hear this, the in-game time is going to sync with your real-life time. So this is very similar to Animal Crossing, and I know this is gonna be a big deal for a lot of you, but it's not a big deal for me. I've said that in my Hello Kitty video, for example. I am really happy to play a game where I have to log in daily. There's just this connection that will form between me and the game when I'm required to log in daily. And I love how beautiful the game is, and look at the stark difference between the vibe you're gonna get when you're playing in the daytime versus the nighttime. The nighttime looks gorgeous. With that out of the way, let's expand a little bit more about the Pokemon. So they have the specialties that we talked about. They also have an ideal habitat that they're gonna live in. So let's apply that to Squirtle. Squirtle's specialty is water. Its ideal habitat is humid, and it loves lots of water, cleanliness, healing, cute stuff, group activities, and sweet flavors. I was wondering what the overall objective of this game is going to be, apart from just unlocking Pokemon. Like, okay, we've unlocked them, now what? And is there gonna be a sense of direction, or is the game just about decorating? So yeah, a Pokemon is gonna be troubled, they're gonna have this speech bubble above their head. You can talk to them to hear their request, and by completing it, you're gonna unlock various recipes. Skillup mentions that many of the quests he played revolved around increasing the Pokemon's comfort level, which again is very similar to Dragon Quest Builders 2 in the fact that when you build different rooms, you can increase how fancy they are. However, with Pokemon trainer Mike's footage, we can see that there's also other types of quests. So look at this one. Bulbasaur wants the world to feel more green and lively. And when you complete his request, he's gonna teach you a move that's called leafage. So you're gonna be able to grow tall grass on the ground that's in front of you. As you complete quests, you can also see it in Pokemon trainer Mike's footage that there's an increase in the hearts that we have with the Pokemon. And I think as we get more hearts, we can reach an evolution for that Pokemon, but this is a question mark because I'm not sure about that. He also hinted at shiny hunting, which he couldn't confirm, but remember, even with this footage, even with the trailers that we've seen, we know that Nintendo is really good at keeping secrets. So when the full game is gonna be out, I'm sure we're gonna be finding so many secrets that we didn't even know are gonna exist. So I highly encourage you to make sure that you squish the like and subscribe buttons, because I will make sure to actually tell you all about these features. So that's gonna give you long-term replayability value, where you're gonna be able to build and customize to your heart's content. And I have a lot more to share about this game, as well as how you can play with your friends. But before we get to that, hello, you gorgeous human being, it's Miss Bubbles. It's so good to see you again. I have two announcements that I want to give real quick. As you know, my health has been going backwards. Your girl has chronic neck pain, chronic shoulder pain, and as I'm editing, this whole arm just likes to just paralyze and not, want to work with me. So we have a new editor. His name is Joe. I don't know how he found us, but I'm so happy he did. He actually helped us edit the last video that I posted, which is 25 new farming games that you can look forward to in 2026. So he has done an incredible job. He is going to be helping me edit these videos. Now, don't worry, the production is still gonna be me. I'm still gonna be the one on camera. I'm the one who's doing the scripts. I'm the one doing everything. I'm the one playing the games. Don't worry about that. It's all gonna be me, but he will be editing the videos. Editing really is not working with my arm and my pain right now. So I just want to delegate that to him. And the second announcement is that I wouldn't be able to first seek medical help health care at all here, or be able to afford hiring Joe if it wasn't for you. Every single penny that you have been helping out with coffee, Patreon, and YouTube memberships has come a long way. So thank you so much for that, because in the UK, seeking the free healthcare, which is the NHS, it just has not gone well for me. It has been a merry-go-round between doctors. Everyone is like, go to this one, go to that one, go to this one, and no one is taking the case seriously, even though I told them that there is a loss of power in my arm, which is that should be sending their alarm bells to be dinging and being like, okay, there's something wrong here, we need to help her out. Yeah, so finally with private healthcare, I can actually ensure that I'm gonna seek treatment. I'm still waiting on the MRI. We thought that one was gonna happen this month. Yeah, it didn't. That's the NHS for you. But anyways, thank you so much for your support, and even just watching these videos, leaving a comment and liking, that goes a long way. So thank you so much for your support. Now let's get back to Pokopia. And the next thing that I want to show you is this game is perfect for those of you who are completionists, because look at this. There's an entire menu for collections, including lost relics, fossils, human records, recipes, items, and highlight reels. So if the game really has a lot to explore, I can see myself sinking hours and hours trying to look at every nook and cranny to unlock as many secrets as I can. Even the recipes tab is full of items, and we can see many categories that Pokemon trainer Mike is switching through, from furniture to miscellaneous, outdoor, utilities, buildings, block types, kits, nature, food, materials, and key items. And with all of this, we have various ways for traversal, which I love to see, especially after seeing how Dragon Quest Builders 2 stepped up its traversal from the first game. So in the sequel, apart from walking and running, you can also swim, dive, climb, and glide. So how does that translate to Pokopia? Well, here, you can transform into different Pokemon to surf and glide, for example. And based on what Pokemon trainer Mike shares in his video, we can quickly travel back home if we need a fast way to return to our base. I'm also seeing lots of quality of life features here, which I'm so happy to see. You know, I am currently playing Star Sand Island. It's in early access, and in my before you buy, I emphasize multiple times how the quality of life features in that game take it to a whole another level. It's making gameplay a lot more seamless and less grindy for me. Pokopia is doing the same thing, as I don't know about you, but as much as I said I, enjoy Animal Crossing New Horizon, but man, does it have some really tedious mechanics, especially if you've played it back in 2020. Like, what do you mean Nintendo only after 6 years gave us bulk crafting? Like, bruh. Another quality of life feature is that Pokemon will do what you ask them to do very quickly, so it doesn't feel like every decision is weighed down by lots of dialogue options. So Skill Up mentions that everything you want to transform into is done through the press of a button on your D-pad. Even picking up everything can be as easy as clicking a button to inhale all the items around you. So if you want to reset an area, it's gonna be a really easy task for you, and that means you're not gonna be going around to every single item and picking it up individually. I also see that right off the bat, we can craft multiple objects at once. Even movement looks to be pretty smooth across the board from all the sources that I have looked into, which is great to see, especially in the traversal department. And we see this picture from Famitsu of what we have in our bag. So it looks like we can carry quite a lot of items, which is gonna make decorating and crafting easier. Now, if we have, crafting where everything is gonna be like synced from your storage, so like let's say I put stuff in my storage and I don't have to have it in my bag, that would be a pretty awesome bonus as well. Like Star Sand Island is doing that, Sandrock does that, so yes, please do that. Alright guys, this is Future Bubbles. We've recorded this video on Sunday, and then we learned that there's gonna be a treehouse stream on Tuesday. So we decided to hold off a little bit before we post the video, and maybe we'll get some information. Well, we did. Now, in terms of the quests that we just spoke about, we learned that you have to prioritize them to successfully progress the stories, and you're gonna learn abilities, and they made it very clear that whenever you see a bubble pop up above a Pokemon's head, like make sure to prioritize that, give it the #1 priority. How many priorities did I say? Take a shot for each one. And once again, we see Pokemon react to what we do, which is adorable, and overall, I just love how quirky the Pokemon are. In this segment of the treehouse, they invited Charmander to this little house, and the second a campfire was added, he quickly blew a fire and it created a warm space for him, and he just went ahead and slept on the stool like it's nobody's business. And by the way, seems like Pokemon will give us multiple abilities abilities, not just one. So for example, with Scyther will give you the ability to cut wood, but also eventually can start turning the wood into lumber. We also learned that we need Pokemon specialized in building, like Timber here, to complete building kits. In general, to build something, you're gonna need specific Pokemon, materials, and each building will take a specific amount of time that coincides with real life. So this is in regards to the building kits, not stuff that you're doing at the workstation. So with this leaf hutch over here, you can see that it took them 15 minutes in real life to complete it, and they said that different buildings will take different amounts of time. And with homes, we're gonna need to have 3 furniture items inside for it to be considered a complete house. And then you can invite one of the Pokemon to move in. So you can either keep working on a Pokemon's habitat to increase their comfort level, or you can build them a home and then make it fit with the various things that they like. I also like this PC here because it gave us even more gameplay options. So we learned that we have daily challenges that will occur every day with new tasks for us to fulfill. I'm curious what the reward will be, but it does look like, you know, the Nook Miles that we see in Animal Crossing. But the thing I want to draw your attention to is this environmental level up here. When you access it, it will show you how many Pokemon you have around and their comfort level. So some feel that their environment is nice, some think it's average, some feel it's iffy, and if they don't have a home, then they will be characterized as no home. You can ask Pokemon about their comfort level and they will tell you what they need to make their habitat a better home for them. There's also attention to detail in even how electricity works. So you need these electricity poles to light up the lampposts and also turn things on and off. Buildings do seem to go pretty high up in terms of height, and the furniture inside the houses are very quirky, so we have some cute sets to collect, and I really like these cute little plushies. And you know, when we talked about the quality of life features earlier, we saw even more during the treehouse stream. So if we place a storage box next to our crafting table, items needed to craft will be pulled from that storage box, so we're not gonna have to have the items in our bag. And speaking of the bag, which we also talked about earlier, well, it turns out this is Ditto's stomach, and the UI looks a lot like the Animal Crossing bag. We'll start with 1 page of items and then we can expand it more, so this is why we saw in the previews that players had up to 4 pages in their inventory. Another quality of life is how fast we can terraform, whether you're smashing rocks, inhaling items, or even placing down these bricks to fix up the path. And it looks like Pokemon can help you out. It again lets me see that everything is going to be pretty seamless. In terms of traversal, we saw ladders and vines that we can climb up, as well as the surfing and gliding that we talked about already. And as I mentioned, Nintendo is still keeping lots of things as a surprise, and this treehouse confirmed it. They literally said they don't want to show us all of the surprises. However, one thing they did want to show us is these Pokeballs on the floor, and they specifically went and collected only one, and this one turned out to be a dowsing machine. By equipping it, Pokemon can point us in a direction where there's something to uncover, but again, they said they want to keep it a surprise and not show us what that secret is gonna be. And let's add a little bit of attention to the immersion here. You can interact with most objects, and so can our Pokemon, which is a great addition to see. I'm always a fan of attention to small details like this. There's also a camera mode, which I'm sure many of you are gonna be loving. And in this camera mode, you can have different Pokemon join you. There's a selfie mode and a 3D one, and you can use a variety of expressions. Oh, and just the way you can customize the outside, you can also customize inside the houses. I've seen screenshots showing stairs in homes, so we can have at least 2 floors, and the camera can be turned around 360 degrees inside the house, which is gonna make decorating a lot easier. So what about that part that I said I'm gonna circle back into if you love playing with friends? Well, you can play this game either in solo mode or multiplayer mode with up to 4 friends. And it offers game share, so this is incredible because only one of you has to have the game, and your other 3 friends can join you on the same island and play with you without owning the game. But keep in mind that the game is coming to Switch 2 only. However, that does not mean that your friends can only play if they have a Switch 2. As long as one of you owns a copy on the Switch 2 and the others have a Switch 1, then they can still join your game regardless of not them having a Switch 2 as well. And with the Switch 2 features, Pokemon trainer Mike says that there were mouse controls in the settings, so you can use that to your advantage if you like using those features when building. We also have cloud servers confirmed, so you can have your island where you play through the quests and unlock your Pokemon, and then you have a server for you and your friends, which again is not a surprise because even in Dragon Quest Builders 2, apart from the island where you're gonna go to explore and you can progress the story, you also have a more sandboxy area that you can customize to your heart's content with your friends. So in Pokopia, you can host a server, and that means that your friends can join it even if you, the host, is not online, as long as you've already granted them permission to join. Okay, and now I want to also add what we learned from the treehouse. We learned that we have multiple multiplayer options to play, so it's not just one, and they chose a specific mode where when they were playing, you can see the host getting notifications that other people have created habitats. And we also saw a little bit of the Pokemon Center and what looks like outside, and in this mode, we saw the host actually say that, oh, I just want to have complete control over everything, so I'm the one who's going to initiate dialogue with Pokemon and also find them. But based on my understanding, it doesn't always have to be that way. It's just with this specific treehouse stream that they wanted these elements to be activated during the multiplayer. We also saw this concert area, which we've seen before, so I'm pretty sure you can build it in solo mode as well. And we have these emotes to just do like little cute animations, and we can send messages to our friends. I also really like this where they show us how easily it is to till the soil and move things like plants, crops, and flowers. And we also see Bellsprout being used to increase how fast crops can grow. And one more thing is with the camera that we spoke about earlier, they expanded a little bit more on it. So they said that we can change which hand we're using for the selfie. We can use frames and filters, and we can also tilt how the direction of the camera is. So again, I'm pretty sure there's still a lot more that we don't know about. The game is set to release on March 5th, and with Pokemon Day coming very soon, I am manifesting on Twitter that we get a demo and that the save file actually carries to the full release. I really hope that we get that. And if you're interested in a physical copy of the game, I can see pre-orders out for it already with a plushie. However, I'm very disappointed that the copy is a game keycard only, meaning you don't have the game fully installed on your cartridge. Instead, it means when you insert the cartridge, you're gonna have to download the game through the internet and install it. So I'm just gonna buy it digitally. But I'm curious, are you gonna buy the game? Are you gonna play it? I read all of the comments. Check the comments. I love talking to you. So let me know, what do you think about this? Are you excited? Are you hyped up? And if you're interested in Tomodachi Life, because that's another one that I'm super excited about, then watch this video next. It should be up in like a few days. Thank you to my Patreon and YouTube bubblies who make videos like this possible. And a shout out goes to the Game Dimension, Stella, Yugoslav, and Emmy for going the extra mile. Until next time, stay bubbly.